everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and we're shoe shopping again.
That's right, we are going shoe shopping, but this time it's a little bit more complicated because we're getting women's shoes.
That's right. So there are so many different kinds of women's shoes. I'm not even sure I know them all myself, but in this intermediate level lesson, we're going to cover some of the basics for you.
That's right. So before we jump into this dialogue, we have a word that we want to preview with you today, and let's take a look at it now on Vocabulary Preview.
Vocabulary Preview.
Okay, so we're shopping today for a certain kind of shoe. It's not a sports shoe, it's a dress shoe.
Okay, that kind of doesn't make sense because a dress is a noun, a shoe is a noun. And so you want to get a shoe that's a dress?
No. A dress shoe is a style of shoe. It means shoes that you wear when you're wearing fancy clothes.
So it's kind of like a formal shoe. A dress shoe is for a shoe, a type of shoe that would go well with a dress.
That's right, not sneakers. But don't be fooled. This is not about dresses because men can wear dress shoes too.
That's right.
It means shoes you would wear to a conference or to a wedding or to church. So these are things that are a little bit fancier than everyday shoes.
Okay, awesome. So we're shopping for a dress shoe, and there are so many types and styles of shoes for women. So why don't we listen to our dialogue for the first time, and we'll be back in a second.
Hi, excuse me, sir. I'm looking for a dress shoe. My usual pair that I've had for years have finally been stretched out of shape. They don't provide any support anymore.
Sure. What kind of shoe are you looking for? We've got strappy sandals, sleek high heels, edgy pumps. If you're looking for something a little more practical, we've got Mary Janes, ballerinas.
Show me some classic high heels, please.
Okay, right this way. What color did you have in mind?
Black. Classic.
Of course. We've got this style here that is very popular. Because it's an open-toe shoe, you can wear it any time of the year. They look great on everyone.
Too shiny. And I wear pantyhose with my shoes, so let's look for a closed-toe shoe.
Okay, these are a very nice pair of leather shoes with a 2-inch heel, so they are very comfortable.
I don't like the pointed toes. Let me take a look at what else you have. Too high. That one looks like the back would cut into my heel. I have a high instep, so I doubt that one would fit properly. I don't want bows. I find slingbacks very uncomfortable. Those might as well be stilettos. Too modern. Ah, finally! This is what I'm looking for.
What size?
7.5.
Here we are. How does it fit?
Not good. They're too tight. The length is right, but the shoe is too narrow and it's pinching my toes. And there'd be no room for my insoles. You know what? I don't think I have the patience for this today. They just don't make shoes like they used to. I'll come back another time.
Have a nice day, ma'am.
All right, we're back. So a lot of shoe styles, as you noticed, a lot of them are very, I don't know, I don't even know what they are. So why don't we try and explain them now on Language Takeaway.
Language Takeaway.
So the first kind of shoe we've got here is very popular in the summer. It's called a strappy sandal.
A strappy sandal. So we know what a sandal is.
Yep.
It's kind of like what you wear to the beach. It's a shoe that it doesn't really cover your whole foot, just the bottom.
It's very open.
Mm-hmm. And, well, what about strappy?
Strappy comes from the word strap. So strap is like a thin piece of fabric or leather that connects other pieces. And so a strappy sandal means that it's got many of these different little straps on it, many lines everywhere that connect it. So it's very open. It's made of many different thin pieces.
Okay, good. So we have a strappy sandal, basically a sandal with many straps. And, well, she went on to describe sleek high heel. So this is a two-part thing here. Sleek is an adjective, which basically means really cool looking.
Or more like it's pretty and fancy, and usually sleek things are also kind of simple. Like a Jaguar is a very sleek car.
Okay. And so this is the adjective to describe the high heels. So we have high heels.
Okay, we have high heels that are kind of fancy shoe. Basically, these are shoes that are not flat. So the heel is very tall.
That's right. So basically, this is what a lot of women wear with dresses. Basically, the heel has a piece that kind of sticks out and makes the woman look taller. So basically, it's like they're walking on the tips of their toes the entire time.
Right, and they make click, clack, click, clack.
Exactly.
They make that sound. But there are different kinds of heels, okay? High heels obviously means that they're tall. You can have low heels too. Those are shorter.
Okay.
But high heels, there are different kinds. One kind is pumps.
Pumps, okay? In the dialogue, we actually saw the salesman describe them as edgy pumps. So edgy, what does edgy mean, though?
Edgy means cool
Cool.
or hip.
All right.
So young people like to wear edgy clothes,
Okay.
like rock and roll kind of clothes. Not so much older people.
Okay. And pumps are a type of high heel, you say, but what is the difference?
Well, pumps basically are the kind of simple heel that a woman will wear with a pantsuit or with a skirt to the office. And so they usually have a closed toe, and they're quite simple heels.
Okay. And the opposite, or, well, maybe a little bit different from pumps, would be stilettos.
So stilettos are a very special kind of heel. Stiletto. It refers basically to the difference in the back of the shoe where you have the heel, because sometimes heels are kind of thick and heavy and they make the clunk clunk sound.
Right.
But stilettos are very, very, very thin and very, very tall.
Okay. So stiletto heels. I think it's probably easier to walk with pumps rather than stilettos, right?
Stilettos are famous for being very, very hard to walk in. It's almost like the back of your heel is a chopstick.
Wow. I cannot imagine doing that. All right, so this is the classification of our high heels. Why don't we move on now to Mary Jane's?
Okay, so we've got high heels and heels, but we also have flats. These are flat shoes. So one important kind of flats is a Mary Jane. Sounds like a name, right?
Yeah, it is a name, right? Mary Jane.
Mary Jane.
So what type of shoe is this?
This is basically usually a leather shoe, but it can be different materials. And it's round in the front, and it has one strap, and they're very cute.
Okay.
Usually
okay.
little girls wear Mary Janes, but they're pretty popular these days with older people too.
Okay. So they're round in the front. They are usually black, and they have one little strap that goes over the top of your foot. Mary Jane's. Okay. All right. So we've taken a look at Mary Jane's. Now moving on to, I think it's a similar type of shoe, ballerina shoes.
Well, ballerina shoes are similar because they're flat, but
Right.
that's about it. Ballerina shoes are very, very thin. They're very, very weak. And usually they're pretty simple. They're pink or white or black. And they're almost like a slipper.
Okay. So they don't have the strap on top.
No, they're stretchy, and you just slide them onto your foot. It's named after dancers, ballerinas. You know, the dancers who
Right.
wear pink and they put their hair up and they spin around. And they're not hard on the bottom. They're usually quite soft, and they're always flat.
So maybe these ballerina shoes, they're not the specific types of shoes for dancing if you're a ballerina.
Right.
But maybe they're more adequate for maybe walking around the house or something. You don't really go out hiking with ballerina shoes.
No, you don't go out hiking, but they're very popular to wear now to school or work.
Okay. And the other type of shoes that we had, actually, this was really confusing to me. Slingback shoes.
Well, slingbacks can be hard because they can be heels. They could be pumps, but it basically refers to a part of the shoe. So
Okay.
normal shoes, they cover the back of your foot, but slingbacks have one strap in the back. So maybe if I look at my foot in a slingback, I can see part of my heel.
Right. Okay, so slingbacks have a little strap on the back of your heel since the shoe doesn't close in the back.
Right.
Okay, but you also have high heels and women's shoes that don't close in the back, but that you don't have a strap in the back either, right?
Those are open shoes.
Open
so,
shoes.
yeah, they're open in the back. But a slingback, there's one strap that keeps your shoe on.
Okay, a lot of different types of shoes we've just taken a look at. Why don't we go back, listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be back shortly with Fluency Builder.
Hi, excuse me, sir. I'm looking for a dress shoe. My usual pair that I've had for years have finally been stretched out of shape. They don't provide any support anymore.
Sure. What kind of shoe are you looking for? We've got strappy sandals, sleek high heels, edgy pumps. If you're looking for something a little more practical, we've got Mary Jane's, ballerinas.
Show me some classic high heels, please.
Okay, right this way. What color did you have in mind?
Black. Classic.
Of course, we've got this style here that is very popular. Because it's an open-toe shoe, you can wear it any time of the year. They look great on everyone.
Too shiny. And I wear pantyhose with my shoes, so let's look for a closed-toe shoe.
Okay, these are a very nice pair of leather shoes with a 2-inch heel, so they are very comfortable.
I don't like the pointed toes. Let me take a look at what else you have. Too high. That one looks like the back would cut into my heel. I have a high instep, so I doubt that one would fit properly. I don't want bows. I find slingbacks very uncomfortable. Those might as well be stilettos. Too modern. Finally! This is what I'm looking for.
What size?
7.5.
Here we are. How does it fit?
Not good. They're too tight. The length is right, but the shoe is too narrow and it's pinching my toes. And there'd be no room for my insoles. You know what? I don't think I have the patience for this today. They just don't make shoes like they used to. I'll come back another time.
Have a nice day, ma'am.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at 5 key things on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Okay, well, the reason we're shopping today is because the woman needs a new pair of shoes because her old shoes can't be worn anymore. What's wrong with them, Marco?
She said that they were stretched out of shape.
Okay, so to stretch or to be stretched out, this means that maybe they've been pulled and worn and they're stretched so much that they don't have the original shape anymore.
Right. So just imagine you have a new t-shirt and all of a sudden somebody takes you from your t-shirt and pulls you really hard. And usually what happens is this t-shirt is going to be stretched out of shape. You pulled it so hard that it loses its original form. So now maybe the neck is very low or the t-shirt is too long on one side.
Right.
So that's what happens when you stretch something out of shape.
Great.
Okay.
So her old shoes are stretched out of shape and they don't provide support anymore.
Okay. So to provide support. Now, what kind of support is she referring to?
She's talking about foot support. So, for example, slippers are a kind of shoe, basically, that don't provide support. They're very soft. But can you walk around all day in slippers? No, it doesn't help your foot. But if you're trying to find shoes that are really good for walking, you need to find ones that provide support. That means that always support your foot, the bottom of your foot. Otherwise, your foot gets too tired.
Not only the bottom, but it could be also your ankle. For example, if you can't really go hiking with shoes like these with sandals because obviously you're walking around rocks and it doesn't provide support on your ankle. Maybe you can hurt your ankle if you don't have it.
So maybe a hiking boot will provide more support.
Exactly. All right. And then the woman also mentioned that, it's hard for her to find a shoe because she said, I have a high instep.
Okay, so think about the foot. You've got toes in the very front and a heel in the very back, but in the middle, on top, you have the instep. So this is basically the top of your foot.
Okay. So if she has a high instep, it means that her foot is kind of thick.
That's right. Some people have thin feet. She has kind of a thick foot. So fitting her foot into a shoe is sometimes hard.
Right. We're not talking about the width of the foot. We're talking about the height,
Like
or how tall it is.
From the bottom to the top of the foot.
Right. So that's what she means by high instep. And, they also mentioned different types of shoes. She said she didn't want an open-toe shoe. She wanted a closed-toe shoe.
That's right. So this is a really important classification for women's shoes, especially. Open-toe means that the toe of the shoe, the very, very front, has a hole or an opening, so you can see the toes.
Right.
Closed toe is the opposite. So personally, in the wintertime, I always wear closed-toed shoes because I think open-toe shoes are too cold.
Too cold. Okay. So that's basically it. I guess men, we don't really have this type of shoe between open toe and closed toe.
No, maybe, no, you don't really. But heels, maybe, you could have an open toe. You can have an open toe shoe or a closed toed shoe.
Right. Okay. So a lot of interesting things. This is useful for women out there and also for boyfriends. Maybe now you know what type of shoe your girlfriend may want.
That's right.
All right. So let's listen to this dialogue for the last time and we'll be back shortly.
Hi, excuse me, sir. I'm looking for a dress shoe. My usual pair that I've had for years have finally been stretched out of shape. They don't provide any support anymore.
Sure. What kind of shoe are you looking for? We've got strappy sandals, sleek high heels, edgy pumps. If you're looking for something a little more practical, we've got Mary Janes, ballerinas.
Show me some classic high heels, please.
Okay, right this way. What color did you have in mind?
Black. Classic.
Of course, we've got this style here that is very popular. Because it's an open-toe shoe, you can wear it any time of the year. They look great on everyone.
Too shiny. And I wear pantyhose with my shoes, so let's look for a closed-toe shoe.
Okay, these are a very nice pair of leather shoes with a 2-inch heel, so they are very comfortable.
I don't like the pointed toes. Let me take a look at what else you have. Too high. That one looks like the back would cut into my heel. I have a high instep, so I doubt that one would fit properly. I don't want bows. I find slingbacks very uncomfortable. Those might as well be stilettos. Too modern. Ah, finally! This is what I'm looking for.
What size?
7.5.
Here we are. How does it fit?
Not good. They're too tight. The length is right, but the shoe is too narrow and it's pinching my toes. And there'd be no room for my insoles. You know what? I don't think I have the patience for this today. They just don't make shoes like they used to. I'll come back another time.
Have a nice day, ma'am.
All right, so talking about shoes, there's so many types, and I think women are notoriously famous for having a lot of shoes. Why is this?
Some women are. Some women aren't. It depends on the person. But part of the problem, as you said earlier, is that there's so many different kinds of women's shoes that now we expect women to have a different pair of shoes for every different occasion. Work shoes, hiking shoes, running shoes, wedding shoes.
Right.
I don't know, summer shoes, winter shoes, fall shoes. So you need so many different kinds of shoes. You end up buying many different kinds.
I think that that's true, and also basically women like to look nice, so that's why you do your makeup, you have earrings, and they have nice bags. So I guess it's also part of it is that you pay more attention to what type of shoe you're wearing that maybe goes well with the outfit. I think maybe guys, not all guys obviously, as well as not all women, but guys are a little bit more generic. Because like jeans pretty much go well with any type of shoe as long as it's maybe black or brown, right? Or something like this.
True. Although I know a lot of guys who have many different kinds of shoes.
True. It takes up a lot of space in the closet as well.
It does. Shoes are hard to carry around.
And actually, I find it kind of hard to get rid of my shoes. I think they have to be ripped or just completely unwearable in order for me to throw a shoe away, because otherwise it's still, you can still wear it sometimes on the weekends.
No, that's true. Although I tend to wear my shoes down. That means I wear them until they die.
Really?
And
Actually,
then I throw them away.
I've had shoes that I've worn the soles down, and then I just get the sole changed because I like the shoe so much.
Oh. Well, let us know. Do you guys like to buy shoes? Do you have a lot of shoes? Maybe you don't have that many shoes. We're curious to know about this in other cultures as well, because I know in the States, in the United States, shoe shopping is very, very popular.
In Holland, they have traditional wooden shoes.
Yeah, they do. Those are called clogs.
Clogs. So let us know maybe what type of shoes are also very unique to your country or culture. We're at EnglishPod.com. We'll see everyone there.
Bye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Something that holds a person. Support. A shoe with the bottom part having straps. Strappy sandals. A low-cut, low-heeled shoe. Edgy pump. The shoe with the toes exposed. Open-toed shoe. The length of the heel is 2 inches. 2-inch heel. The shoe having a narrow top. Pointed shoe. Squeeze between the thumb and a finger. Pinch. The inner sole of a shoe. Insole. Tight and hurts the body with a sharp thing. Cut into.
Let's try that faster.
The length of the heel is 2 inches. 2-inch heel. Tight and hurts the body with a sharp thing. Cut into. The inner sole of a shoe. Insole. Something that holds a person. Support. A shoe with the bottom part having straps. Strappy sandals. The shoe having a narrow top. Pointed shoe. Squeeze between the thumb and a finger. Pinch. The shoe with the toes exposed. Open-toed shoe. A low-cut, low-heeled shoe. Edgy pump.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Support. It is important that your shoes support the arches of your feet so that your ankles don't roll in. Support. Apparently my shoes are the cause of my back pain, so I need to get custom-made insoles that provide extra support. Support. I find that it is so much easier to walk in a shoe that has arch support. Cut into. My new shoes are cutting into the back of my heel. Cut into. The straps on these sandals are cutting into my feet. Cut into. I think my feet are too wide for this shoe because the shoe is starting to cut into the sides of my feet. 2-inch heel. I can't stand high heels, so if I have to wear them, I only ever wear shoes with a 1-inch heel. 2-inch heel. I don't know how models can stand, let alone walk in 4-inch heels. 2-inch heel. I love any kind of high heel shoes, but pumps with 3-inch heels are my favorite by far. Pinch. When I bought these shoes, they fit perfectly, but now I find that they are pinching my baby toe. Pinch. Does the size down fit better, or are they pinching your feet? Pinch. I haven't yet been able to buy shoes in China because the shoe sizes are smaller, so my toes are always pinched. Insole. I always put insoles in my shoes so I don't need to worry about how comfortable a shoe is before I buy it. Insole. The doctor suggested that my mother get special insoles made for her shoes. Insole. I always wear good quality shoes, so I never needed to buy insoles.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And we're bringing you another great elementary lesson today, one that takes place at the office.
Yes, today we're going to teach you some great phrases so that you can ask people to help you.
Right, and I think this dialogue is with a new person at the office.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're new, you always need to ask people for favors.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to be asking for a favor.
So Marco, what exactly is a favor?
Something that a person does for you.
Like a small, helpful thing.
Yeah, a small helpful thing. So, like, can you pass me that pencil? Maybe that's even a favor.
Yeah, or maybe, can you pick me up on your way to work?
Yeah, that's a favor. Or even lending money
Yep.
to your friend.
Yeah.
That's a favor.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be talking about, favors and how to ask for one.
Because you always have to do this at work.
At work, with your friends, with your family. So let's listen to the dialogue and then we'll come back and explain all the vocabulary.
Sorry to bother you. My name is Rachel. I'm new here. Can I ask you for a favor?
Hi, Rachel. Welcome on board. I'm afraid I can't help you right now. I'm getting ready for a very important meeting.
Excuse me, but can I bother you for a second?
You know what? I'd love to help you, but I'm about to meet an important client. Do you want to ask Sean instead? He sits right over there.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sean. Could you do me a quick favor?
Actually, I'm working on a document that's due in a couple of minutes. I really can't talk right now. Sorry about that.
Jeez! I just want to know where the bathroom is. What's wrong with you people?
So a pretty busy office.
Pretty unhelpful colleagues.
I know, everyone's so busy they didn't help this poor girl.
Yeah, I hope she found the bathroom.
Now let's take a look at the language from the dialogue. So let's start with language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
There's some great language in this dialogue, wasn't there?
Yeah, a lot of interesting phrases and words. The first one that I saw that was really interesting is on board.
On board.
Welcome on board.
Well, we've got some examples of how this phrase is used, so let's listen to them to help us understand the meaning.
Example 1. Welcome on board, Sarah. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Example 2.
We need to get our new office assistant on board as soon as possible.
Example 3. We decided to bring Melissa on board to join the marketing team.
So basically it means
Welcome to the company.
welcome to the company.
Or,
the team.
yeah.
Welcome on board.
So on board is the same as to the company.
I guess also when you get on a ship, they'll tell you welcome on board.
Yes, that's where it comes from.
Or an airplane.
Yeah.
Welcome on board. Okay, let's take a look at our next word. About to.
About to.
I'm about to.
I'm about to.
So this is a great phrase to explain that you're about to do something.
I'm going to do this thing really soon.
Okay, so for example, you can say, I'm about to go out for lunch.
Or I could say, hey, Marco, let's go record a show.
I'm about to go into a meeting.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
About to.
Going to do something really soon.
Okay. The next word we have is instead.
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 Instead. It means in the place of.
In the place of.
Yep.
So, for example, if we're at dinner, I could say, I'll have the chicken instead of the fish. Right?
Or I can say, I wanted to buy a red sweater, but they didn't have one, so I bought a blue one instead. Okay.
So in the place of.
Yeah.
And our last word for language takeaway, interrupt.
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 So when somebody interrupts you, they come in and
they talk to you while you're doing something, or maybe while you're speaking.
Or maybe you're busy and people come and
bother you.
Yeah. Okay.
So interrupt.
Interrupt. Okay, some great words here in our dialogue, and now we can listen to it again. This time it's going to be a little bit slower.
And you'll be able to understand the language a little bit better.
Sorry to bother you. My name is Rachel. I'm new here. Can I ask you for a favor?
Hi, Rachel. Welcome on board. I'm afraid I can't help you right now. I'm getting ready for a very important meeting.
Excuse me, but can I bother you for a second?
You know what? I'd love to help you, but I'm about to meet an important client. Do you want to try Sean instead? He sits right over there.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sean. Could you do me a quick favor?
Actually, I'm working on a document that is due in a couple of minutes. I really can't talk to you right now. Sorry about that.
Jeez. I just want to know where the bathroom is. What's wrong with you people?
Okay, so there are some great ways that you can ask someone for a favor, right?
Yeah, we want to show you some really useful phrases for asking for help.
So let's start with putting it together.
Putting it together.
Let's listen to some different ways of how you can ask someone for a favor.
Example 1. May I get you to do me a favor? Can you carry this package in your suitcase for me? Example 2.
Can I ask you a favor? Can you just finish this report for me?
Example 3. Will you do me a favor and pass me that file?
Okay, so those were great examples of asking for a favor.
Yeah.
In our dialogue, we heard, can I ask you a favor?
But we could also say, can I get you to do me a favor?
Right. Can I get you to do me a favor? Also, I could say, will you do me a favor?
Will you do me a favor?
Right. So those are different ways of asking for a favor.
Let's say you want to ask someone for a favor, right? But they're busy.
Right.
So you'll need some phrases to help you do this.
Exactly. You need some phrases to interrupt somebody. Right? So let's listen to some examples of what phrases you can use to begin to talk to someone.
Yeah, to interrupt them.
Okay.
I hate to bother you, but... I'm
sorry to bother you, but...
I don't mean to bother you, but...
Okay, so those are really nice and polite ways of beginning to talk to someone.
Exactly. They're really useful at the office.
So maybe you want to talk to your boss, you knock on his door, kind of open it a little bit and say, I'm sorry to bother you, but I was wondering if you have time for a meeting today?
Or you could say, I hate to bother you, but do you have time for a meeting today?
Exactly. So those are great ways of starting up a conversation.
Yep.
And maybe setting it up to ask for a favor, right? So we can combine them. I could say, I hate to bother you, but can you do me a favor?
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah, really useful.
So then you can ask someone for a favor.
Yep.
Okay, great stuff. So I guess we can listen to our dialogue again.
Yeah, let's listen to our dialogue for the third time, and this time I'm sure you'll understand it a lot better.
Sorry to bother you. My name is Rachel. I'm new here. Can I ask you for a favor?
Hi, Rachel. Welcome on board. I'm afraid I can't help you right now. I'm getting ready for a very important meeting.
Excuse me, but can I bother you for a second?
You know what? I'd love to help you, but I'm about to meet an important client. Do you want to ask Sean instead? He sits right over there.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sean. Could you do me a quick favor?
Actually, I'm working on a document that's due in a couple of minutes. I really can't talk right now. Sorry about that.
Jeez! I just want to know where the bathroom is. What's wrong with you people?
All right, so now you have all the vocabulary necessary the next time you need to ask someone for a favor.
Yes.
At the office, with your friends, with your family, anyone.
Asking people for help. Asking for help is a natural part of life. No one can do everything alone, and sometimes we need support from others. Whether it is asking a friend for advice, seeking directions from a stranger, or requesting assistance at work, knowing how to ask for help is an important skill. However, for many people, asking for help can feel uncomfortable. Some worry that they might disturb others, while others fear that they will seem weak or incapable. But in reality, asking for help is a sign of strength. It shows that a person understands their limits and values the knowledge and abilities of others. In daily life, people ask for help in different situations. Sometimes, it is a small request, such as borrowing a pen or getting help carrying a heavy bag. Other times, the request may be more important, like asking a teacher to explain a difficult lesson or seeking emotional support from a friend. In all cases, the way we ask for help matters. Being polite and respectful makes the other person more willing to assist. Simple words like, "Could you help me, please?" Or "Excuse me, I need some help" can make a big difference in how the request is received. When asking for help, it is also important to be clear. If a person does not explain what they need, the other person may not understand how to assist them. For example, if someone is lost in a city and asks, "Where is the train station?" It is a clear and direct request. But if they simply say, "I don't know where to go," the person they are asking might not understand what kind of help is needed. Giving enough information helps the other person provide the right assistance. Some people hesitate to ask for help because they do not want to bother others. They might think, "I don't want to be a burden," or "I should solve this on my own." But in most cases, people are happy to help if they're asked in a kind and respectful way. In fact, many people feel good when they can assist someone else. Helping others creates positive connections and builds trust between people. When someone receives help, they may also feel encouraged to help others in return. There are many cultural differences in how people ask for help. In some cultures, it is very common to ask strangers for assistance, while in others, people might hesitate to do so. Some cultures independence, while others encourage cooperation and community support. Learning how people in different cultures ask for help can be useful, especially for those who travel or interact with people from different backgrounds. Understanding these differences can help avoid misunderstandings and make interactions smoother. Asking for help is a valuable skill that benefits both the person making the request and the one offering assistance. It creates opportunities for learning, teamwork, and stronger relationships. Whether it is a small favor or a big request, knowing how to ask for help politely and clearly can make life easier and more enjoyable for everyone. Asking for help is not just about words. It is also about confidence, tone, and body language. When someone approaches another person for assistance, their attitude can influence the response they receive. If they seem nervous or uncertain, the other person might not understand the urgency of the request. However, if they ask in a calm and respectful manner, they are more likely to receive a positive response. Eye contact, a friendly expression, and a polite tone of voice can make a request more effective. Even small gestures, such as a nod or a smile, can help create a connection between the person asking and the one helping. Different situations require different ways of asking for help. For example, in a formal situation, such as at work or in school, it is usually best to use polite and professional language. Instead of saying, "Hey, I need help," a better approach would be, "Could you please assist me with this?" Or, "I'm having some trouble with this task. Could you explain it to me?" In an informal situation, such as among friends, the language can be more relaxed. A simple, "Can you help me?" or "I need a hand with this" is usually enough. Knowing when to be formal and when to be casual helps in making effective requests. Sometimes people are afraid to ask for help because they think they will be rejected. They might worry that the other person is too busy or unwilling to assist. While rejection is always a possibility, it does not mean that asking for help was a mistake. People have different reasons for saying no. Maybe they are occupied with something urgent, or they do not have the knowledge or ability to help. In such cases, it is important not to take rejection personally. Instead of feeling discouraged, a person can simply try asking someone else. Most people are willing to help if they have the time and ability. It is also important to be patient when asking for help. Sometimes the person being asked needs a moment to understand the request. For example, if someone is asking for directions in a foreign country, the person they approach might take a few seconds to think before answering. In such cases, waiting politely and giving them time to respond can make the conversation smoother. Interrupting or showing frustration might make the other person feel uncomfortable, which could reduce their willingness to help. Another key aspect of asking for help is showing gratitude. When someone offers assistance, it is important to say thank you or express appreciation in some way. Gratitude makes people feel valued and encourages them to continue helping others in the future. Even if the help received is small, acknowledging it with a kind word or a smile creates a positive experience for both the helper and the person receiving assistance. If the help is significant, a follow-up message or a small gesture of appreciation, such as returning a favor, can strengthen relationships. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but a natural part of human interaction. Everyone, at some point, needs support, whether in small daily tasks or in major life challenges. Knowing how to ask for help effectively, with politeness and confidence, makes life easier and builds strong connections between people. It is a skill that benefits both the person asking and the one offering assistance, creating a culture of cooperation and kindness. There are many situations in life where asking for help becomes necessary. Sometimes, people need help with physical tasks, such as carrying heavy objects, fixing a broken appliance, or finding a lost item. In other cases, they might need emotional support, like when they are feeling sad, stressed, or confused about an important decision. Help is also needed in learning and problem solving, such as when someone struggles to understand a subject at school or needs guidance in a new job. No matter the situation, knowing how to ask for help properly can make a big difference in receiving the assistance needed. One of the most common places where people ask for help is at work. In a professional environment, employees often need support from their colleagues or managers. A new employee may need help understanding company policies, while an experienced worker might need assistance in handling a difficult project. Instead of struggling alone, it is always better to reach out and ask questions. Good workplaces encourage teamwork and communication, so asking for help is not seen as a weakness, but as a way to learn and grow. However, it is important to ask in a way that respects other people's time. Saying something like, "I have tried to solve this, but I'm still having trouble. Could you guide me?" shows that the person has made an effort before seeking help. In schools and universities, students often ask teachers, classmates, or tutors for help. Learning can be challenging, and sometimes a subject may seem too difficult to understand alone. When a student struggles with math, science, or language, they should not be afraid to ask questions. Teachers are there to help, and classmates can often explain things in a way that makes learning easier. However, some students feel embarrassed to ask for help because they think it will make them look less intelligent. In reality, asking questions is one of the best ways to learn. The more a person asks, the more they understand, and the better they perform in their studies. In everyday life, people also need help from others in various ways. For example, when traveling to a new city or country, asking for directions is a common necessity. If someone is lost or unsure about how to reach a destination, they can approach a local person and ask, "Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the train station? Or I'm looking for a good restaurant nearby. Do you have any recommendations?" In most cases, people are happy to help, especially when they see that the person asking is polite and respectful. Knowing simple phrases for asking for help in different languages can also be useful when traveling abroad. Another situation where asking for help is essential is during emergencies. If someone is in danger or facing a serious problem, seeking assistance immediately can save lives. For example, if a person sees someone injured on the street, they can call emergency services or ask a passerby for help. If a child gets lost in a crowded place, asking security officers or store employees for assistance can help reunite them with their family. In such situations, speaking clearly and directly is very important. Instead of hesitating, one should say, "I need help immediately. There is a problem," so that others understand the urgency of the situation. Asking for help also plays a role in maintaining good mental health. Sometimes people go through difficult times and feel overwhelmed by stress, sadness, or anxiety. In such cases, talking to a trusted friend, family member, or professional can make a big difference. Many people hesitate to ask for emotional support because they do not want to burden others. However, true friends and caring family members are always willing to listen and offer comfort, saying, "I've been feeling down lately. Can we talk?" Or "I really need someone to listen to me," can open the door to valuable emotional support. In society, asking for help is a way of building connections between people. Whether in personal life, at work, in education, or during emergencies, everyone needs help at some point. By learning how to ask in a polite, confident, and respectful way, people can create strong relationships and foster a culture of kindness and cooperation. Recognizing that help is a two-way street, giving and receiving strengthens bonds and makes life easier for everyone. Asking for help is a natural and necessary part of life. No one can do everything alone, and at some point, everyone needs the support of others. However, asking for help is not just about getting assistance. It is also about communication, trust, and building relationships. How a person asks for help, who they ask, and how they respond to the help given all play an important role in social interactions. One of the most important aspects of asking for help is choosing the right person. In some situations, it is easy to know who to ask. For example, if a person has a problem with their car, they can ask a mechanic. If they have a question about their health, they can talk to a doctor. But sometimes, it is not clear who can help. In such cases, people need to think carefully before asking. It is best to ask someone who has the right knowledge or experience and who is likely to be willing to help. Asking the wrong person can lead to confusion or frustration. For example, if a person needs help understanding a school subject, they should ask a teacher or a knowledgeable classmate, not someone who struggles with the subject as well. The way a person asks for help also affects the response they receive. People are more likely to help if the request is polite, clear, and considerate. Saying, "Could you help me, please?" Or "Would you mind giving me some advice?" shows respect and increases the chances of receiving assistance. On the other hand, demanding help without showing gratitude can make others less willing to assist. If a person simply says, "Do this for me," without saying please or thank you, it may sound rude. A friendly tone, a smile, and appreciation can make a big difference. People are generally more willing to help those who treat them with kindness. Another important part of asking for help is timing. If someone needs assistance, they should consider whether the person they are asking is available. If a person is very busy, stressed, or in a hurry, they may not be able to help immediately. In such cases, it is better to wait for a better time or ask if they can help later. For example, if an employee needs help from a manager, they should wait until the manager is free instead of interrupting an important meeting. If a friend seems tired or distracted, it may be best to ask another time. Understanding when and how to ask for help shows emotional intelligence and respect for others. When someone offers help, it is important to accept it with gratitude. Some people feel embarrassed or uncomfortable receiving help, but it is important to remember that everyone needs support at times. Saying thank you so much for your help or I really appreciate your time makes the helper feel valued. In many cultures, showing appreciation is a key part of social interactions. If someone helps regularly, a small gesture of gratitude, like a kind message, a small gift, or returning the favor, can strengthen relationships. Asking for help does not mean relying on others all the time. It is also important to learn from the help received. If someone explains how to solve a problem, the person should try to remember the steps for the future. If a person asks for directions, they should listen carefully and follow them. Learning from help ensures that next time, they may not need to ask again. It also shows that they respect the time and effort of the person helping them. Helping others is just as important as asking for help. When someone assists another person, it creates a sense of connection and goodwill. People remember kindness, and they are more likely to return the favor in the future. If a student helps a classmate understand a lesson today, that classmate may help them with something else tomorrow. If a person helps a neighbor carry groceries, the neighbor may offer help in the future when needed. Society functions better when people support each other. Technology has also changed the way people ask for help. In the past, people had to find someone in person to get assistance. Today, they can ask for help online through social media, forums, or messaging apps. Many websites offer answers to common questions, and people can watch tutorials to learn new skills. However, while online help is useful, it is still important to communicate with real people and build relationships through personal interactions. In the end, asking for help is more than just a way to solve problems. It is a skill that helps people connect, learn, and grow. By asking in a polite and thoughtful way, accepting help with gratitude, and offering help in return, people can create stronger relationships and make life better for everyone. The ability to ask for help when needed and to help others when possible is a sign of strength, wisdom, and kindness.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine. So as usual, we've got a great dialogue for you today. And before we get going, I should mention what the topic is. So Marco, take it away.
We are actually having a small fight at the office. Somebody or a coworker is annoying us. So, sometimes coworkers, you see them every day. They're doing something that's maybe getting on your nerves.
And you practically live together because you're with each other for 8, 9, 10 hours every day.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to be looking at today, some language related to this topic. So let's listen to the dialogue for the first time.
Hey, Mary, can you cut that out?
Cut what out? I'm not doing anything.
The tapping of your pen on your desk. It's driving me crazy.
Fine. By the way, would you mind not slurping your coffee every time you have a cup?
I don't slurp my coffee. And plus, how can you hear it when you're shouting into your phone all the time?
You've got to be kidding me. You're complaining about me talking on the phone when you go out for a cigarette break 10 times a day to shoot the breeze?
Look, we have a lot of accumulated anger from working in these conditions, and it's probably okay to let off steam once in a while, but it's probably not a good idea to keep it up. I'm willing to forgive and forget if you are.
Fine. Let's call it truce. I'll try to be more considerate and keep the noise down.
Yeah, I'll try to do the same. So, I was wondering, you want to go out to dinner Friday night?
All right, we're back. So, yeah, I think this is a common situation, right?
So common, this might even be based on our own lives.
It is. You may not know, but Catherine and I get into fights all the time.
All the time. No, not really.
All right, so I think there was some interesting words here, but mostly phrases. So let's start with the words first on language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
All right, so the first word, as you might have guessed, has to do with eating and drinking. This is called slurping. And
To
it's
slurp.
To slurp. So the noun, the thing is slurping. And it's very common with people who eat their food quickly.
Like soup.
Yeah, soup or,
Noodles.
Yeah, or when they're eating soup noodles.
Or sometimes when you have a drink and you're drinking it through a straw, towards the end, you're just like trying to get the very last part at the bottom. So yeah, the straw slurps.
Yeah, so slurping, some people really can't stand it. And
sometimes you don't even notice that you're doing it.
No, absolutely not.
All right, so apart from slurping, what else do we have?
We've got a great word here, accumulated. So a lot of accumulated anger. The word is a verb, to accumulate.
And what does that mean?
Means to kind of grow or to become more and more.
Okay.
All right?
So you're like saving it.
Or even it's like building up. You know, we say this oftentimes in Chicago where it snows a lot in the winter, that there's a foot of snow accumulated on the ground. That means there's a lot of snow. And every time it snows, it keeps getting bigger. Yeah.
All
so
right.
to accumulate.
So accumulated anger, your anger is getting bigger and bigger.
Right, because you never tell anyone about your anger, so it keeps building and it keeps piling up.
All right. Well, towards the end, they said, well, let's call a truce. So they want to call a truce.
All right, a truce is another word for a peace. And so this is a way that you can stop fighting and say that you and I have been fighting for a long time. We may not come to a deal, but we'll say truce. From now on, we just won't fight. Okay?
Won't fight about it. Okay.
Brothers and sisters often call truces.
Truce. And, well, if you're calling a truce, you're trying to be more considerate.
Okay, considerate, like you're saying, is a way to be or a way to act. And considerate often has to do with how you act towards other people. So it's being nice to other people or thinking about other people's feelings before yourself.
All right. So if you're considerate, then you are maybe more polite. You think about the other person's feelings before you do anything.
Exactly. Or you just say nice little things like please and thank you and I'm sorry. And these things are all ways of being considerate.
Very good. All right. So 4 great words on language takeaway. Why don't we move on now to Fluency Builder?
Fluency builder.
All right, so as we mentioned, this dialogue is very, very rich in a lot of different phrases, so let's start with a couple of them. The very first one and the title of the lesson, cut it out. Cut that out.
Hey, Mary, can you cut that out?
Right, so you're not actually saying to cut something with scissors or something.
No, it's a way of saying, can you stop that?
Stop it. Stop doing that.
Stop it. Quit it.
Okay, cut that out. Cut it out.
So if someone's doing something that's really annoying to you, it's not very nice to say, but you can say, hey, cut that out.
Cut it out.
Or if someone's doing something mean to someone, like my brother used to hit me, my mom would say, Peter, cut that out.
All right, so it is a good mom phrase as well. All right, moving on to our next phrase. The guy said that the tapping on the desk was driving him crazy. It's driving me crazy.
All right, to drive someone crazy means to make someone just feel like they're going nuts or, it makes you kind of angry or frustrated or tense.
But it can also be used like in a romantic sense, right? That girl drives me crazy.
It means like he can't even think about anything else.
All right.
So in this case, what drives you crazy?
When...
I'll tell you what drives me crazy. When people clip their fingernails and toenails at the office.
Can't believe. Well, it drives me crazy, like, for example, when somebody or my brother leaves his clothes lying on the floor in the living room, for example.
That's annoying, too.
Yeah. So that drives me crazy. All right, so moving on to our third phrase. This is a pretty big one, but take it as a whole. You've got to be kidding me.
All right. So this is, as you've said, a fixed phrase. These words usually go together, and it is a perfect example of sarcasm. So it's the way you say it is very important. So I could say, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." What's a good situation for this? Maybe I get to the airport and I'm running late, and I'm really happy that I get there on time, and then I see the flight is delayed 7 hours.
Exactly.
You've got to be kidding me.
Right. So it's a way of saying I can't believe it, or seriously,
Or
this
what-
isn't. Yeah. What's happening?
Or what bad luck.
Right. So it is a sarcastic phrase, but use it as a whole. Usually you don't change the subject. You don't say, you've got to be kidding him. Or
No,
something.
it's always this. You've got to be kidding me.
All right.
Or you've got to be kidding me. See? Different meanings with different inflections.
Different inflection. Very good. What's our next phrase?
Our next phrase is a good one because it doesn't mean what it sounds like, okay? So, to shoot the breeze,
Okay.
all right? Shoot means like you can shoot a gun, and breeze is like the wind. But here, to shoot the breeze is to have a nice little conversation, just to talk about nothing.
Okay, so not really do anything, just talk a little bit.
Right, so if we think about this in the context of this sentence, it's, you go out for your cigarette break 10 times a day to shoot the breeze.
Okay.
So this means you go outside, you just talk about nothing and whatever, and it's almost like you're wasting time just talking.
Okay, so shooting the breeze. You can say, oh, we were just shooting the breeze.
Just have a nice little conversation, nothing important.
Okay. And our last phrase for today. Forgive and forget. Let's forgive and forget.
Let's forgive and forget. These words again, like the last phrases, go together. Forgive and forget. So I could say this to you, Marco. I say, I know you've been fighting with your brother for 10 years. I say, finally, just forgive and forget. It means just put everything behind you and try and start again.
Okay, let it go.
Yeah, forgive the person, forget about it, move on.
Okay, forgive and forget. Very good. So very interesting phrases. I think they're very useful, and this is very colloquial English, right?
Absolutely. This is stuff that you're going to hear all the time, but maybe not all together
Right.
at the same time. Definitely, though, very helpful for interacting with foreign friends and colleagues.
Very good. So let's listen to the dialogue for the last time, and we'll be right back.
Hey, Mary, can you cut that out?
Cut what out? I'm not doing anything.
The tapping of your pen on your desk. It's driving me crazy.
Fine. By the way, would you mind not slurping your coffee every time you have a cup?
I don't slurp my coffee. And plus, how can you hear it when you're shouting into your phone all the time?
You've got to be kidding me. You're complaining about me talking on the phone when you go out for a cigarette break 10 times a day to shoot the breeze?
Look, we have a lot of accumulated anger from working in these conditions, and it's probably okay to let off steam once in a while, but it's probably not a good idea to keep it up. I'm willing to forgive and forget if you are.
Fine. Let's call a truce. I'll try to be more considerate and keep the noise down.
Yeah, I'll try to do the same. So, I was wondering, you want to go out to dinner Friday night?
So did you ever see the TV show Full House when you were a kid?
I did. It was a popular with the Olsen twins and all those, right?
Yeah, and Bob Saget. So there was an uncle on the show, Uncle Joey, and he always used to say, "Cut it out."
Yeah,
and he
that's
had
right.
like hand motions for it. And so cut it out is a way to say kind of stop it, quit it, you're killing me. It's like he was saying too funny.
Right.
And so whenever I hear this phrase, I always think of that early 90s TV
very
show.
early 90s.
Yeah.
Well, this whole situation with The Office as well. I think there was a TV show called The Office, right?
Yeah, there was the British Office and then there was an American version.
And it's also something about office life and how colleagues get on each other's nerves and they play pranks on each other and everyone's kind of weird.
And everyone drives everyone else crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's funny because once you start working in an office full time, I mean, everyone's maybe had a little bit of office experience, but when it's full time, you spend more time with your colleagues than you do with your family. It's really
It's strange
amazing
at times.
what makes you crazy, what drives you crazy, and what stuff just doesn't matter.
So this is an interesting topic. We really want to hear from you guys. Many of you probably work at an office, so tell us, So come and tell us what drives you crazy, or maybe what colleague is driving you mad.
You don't have to use names. You can just use nicknames if you want.
Right. So we'll be waiting for you at englishpod.com. Leave questions and comments, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yep. Bye, everyone.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Tell somebody to stop. Cut that out. You must be making jokes with me. You've got to be kidding me. Chat. Shoot the breeze. Gathered. Accumulated. To release excess energy, emotion, etc. Let off steam. Carry on. Keep up. Stop feeling anger and decide to let it go. Forgive and forget. Stop fighting. Call a truce. Thinking about the feelings of other people. Considerate. To eat or drink something noisily. Slurp.
Let's try that faster.
Stop feeling anger and decide to let it go. Forgive and forget. You must be making jokes with me. You've got to be kidding me. Tell somebody to stop. Cut that out. To release excess energy, emotion, etc. Let off steam. To eat or drink something noisily. Slurp. Stop fighting. Call a truce. Chat. Shoot the breeze. Thinking about the feelings of other people. Considerate. Carry on. Keep up. Gathered. Accumulated.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Cut that out. Can you cut that damn music out? It's annoying. Cut that out. Hey, cut it out. You know I'm ticklish. Cut that out. Let's cut the funny business out and get back to work. Slurp. It's considered rude to slurp your soup. Slurp. The dog slurped the whole meal down at once. Slurp. He always slurps his coffee. Let off steam. You can talk to me any time if you need to let off steam. Let off steam. Sometimes exercise is the best way to let off steam. Let off steam. Letting off steam is essential for good mental health. Keep up. If you keep up the good work, you could get promoted. Keep up. This is a horrible paper. If you keep it up, you will fail the class. Keep up. Let's hope this good weather keeps up. Considerate. Sending a thank you card is very considerate. Considerate. Mary is a caring and considerate person. Considerate. It was very considerate of you to offer to help.